bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be.
Good morning, folks. Today's video is about a collaboration that I was tagged in a little bit ago, but with everything that's been going on, I just haven't had time to get to doing getting the footage shot for it, and it is why we have the animals that we have. Now, I was tagged by Bill over at Stoneycreek Farm, and I want to say thank you to him. And I believe Square One Farms is the one who started the collaboration on what animals do you have, why do you have them, and what animals you would like to have. So starting off with, the first thing that we actually started with was horses. As a little girl, I always wanted horses. So when I was in my early 30s, I believe I was 31, my parents, who have a farm, my dad decided to get a horse. And I was just over the moon excited because I had always wanted horses. So I got a mare, and we found out she's a little bit older, which is Star, so she's my girl. And then we wound up getting Holly, and then they got a couple more. So Holly and Star became my horses, and when we bought this farm, they came to it with us. I love being around them. They're wonderful creatures. Great therapy just to go up and hug one, even if I'm not riding. But to get out in the woods on my horse is just such a blessing. And I mean, if you're not a horse person, you probably won't quite understand it. It heals my soul. The second thing that we decided to get was chickens for eggs. And when I was a little girl, I had a very small flock of bantam chickens at my grandparents' house. And I loved them. I would name them and carry them around, and you know, they would let me pick them up, and I absolutely love chickens. They're just so much fun. They're so fun to watch. And I just wanted them mainly for us to have fresh eggs. And then it kind of blossomed as people started wanting eggs. So I started buying more and more chickens to produce more and more eggs. So now we have we're working on improving a production flock to be able to keep up with the demand, and we have an egg business going. The goats was the third thing that we have, and the goats started out just to be for 4-H projects for the kids. Originally, a friend of ours had suggested, when we had decided to put the kids in 4-H, to do goats for what's called Pat Goat class. Pat Goat class is where an animal goes through an obstacle course. So it's a lot of fun. The kids have to work with the animals to make them lead, to trust them and go over obstacles such as seesaws and through little tunnels and those kind of things. So we had decided that that's what we would do. Well, then we wound up with 2 goats, because you need 2. You can't just have one. And the kids didn't want to get rid of them when fair was over. So it just kind of blossomed, and I just fell in love with goats, with their personality. And there's a decent market in our area for meat goats, whether it be for someone who's wanting to harvest them, or someone who's wanting them for their children to raise for fair projects, whether it be a market project or a breeding den project. So we're slowly building our herd and producing babies. Obviously, as you've seen the last couple of videos, we've got 4 new additions of baby goats to our farm, and you know, they've been a lot of fun, and we've had a little bit of heartache with them too, but I thoroughly enjoy them, and they have a purpose. The fourth thing that we wound up getting, and it was kind of on a whim, when I was actually picking up a lamb that I was going to be harvesting, they had baby ducks. So, well, no, wait a minute. That was later on that I got more ducks with the lamb. Anyway, so we wound up with Muscovies because they're just so funny. I have a friend who raises them, and they just cracked me up. I don't need a pond. They're great for pest control. So we picked them up as babies. We've raised them, and now we're getting duck eggs. Now, we've also harvested a couple of male ducks, and we just had a clutch of eggs hatch around Thanksgiving, and those young ducks, we have some little girls that will be kept for laying eggs, as well as hopefully bringing us some more babies, and the additional extra males, once they're old enough to harvest, they will be harvested. So we will have the ducks for eggs as well as meat, because they are typically a meat bird. So, we have those. And those really aren't for selling. Those are more for just our own use. We actually had duck for Christmas, and it was amazing. And I have to think, what was his name? Mike over at, yeah, Michael Pratt. No, I'm sorry, not Pratt. I'm going to forget the chef's name over at Part-Time Burmese, and I feel so terrible. My mom asked him about the best way to cook the duck for Christmas, and he gave us the information, and wow, was it great. He was spot on. It was delicious. The kids gobbled it up. There was almost nothing left. There was really no leftovers of the duck. Everyone was digging into it. And, that's what we have now. But one of the things that we would really like to get is quail. Quail would be for selling the eggs as well as meat for the homestead. So, but we've, something that I've discovered as I've been doing this is that as much as I would like to get all these different things, I have got to slow down. So the quail are on hold. We had some other things come up. We have a 7-year-old lab who unfortunately tore her ACL. And she's going to have surgery next week, and it is very expensive. And we've got to figure out how to cut costs to be able to afford it. It's $1,300. So we are right now trying to figure out what all we can cut back on, being frugal with our grocery shopping and trying to make sure we combine our trips, save on gas, whatever we can do to save the money for that. But that's another topic. So we are holding off on the quail. And, when you want to get something and it has a purpose, that's wonderful. But the next thing you got to do is say, okay, make sure that you learn everything you can about it so you know what you're doing whenever you get the animal. And then the other thing is can you afford that extra expense? Because you've got to get the feed and, housing and all that infrastructure. And yes, you can be frugal with it. I could get quail. I have some cages. They would eat a similar feed to some of what my chickens have, but that's another bag of feed. And, if they're babies, I'm going to have a heat source to keep them warm and, and the time it's going to take for them to start laying eggs, which isn't very long, but that's one more thing on our list, and we need to slow down. So what we're going to focus on as we're changing gears this year is I'm not going to add anything. I'm just going to continue to work on developing what I have. So my laying flock, we are in the process of as the days get longer, watching the birds to figure out who's laying consistently and who isn't, so we can start to separate them. Then we'll monitor the ones we're suspecting aren't laying, so that way we know who we're going to have to eliminate on the flock, whether we rehome them or we put them in the freezer for use in soups and stews. And then we're going to be purchasing younger birds that we will band, and we're going to start color banding so we can determine the ages of our birds for sure, so that way our flock can develop. So making those plans and being more organized is probably the most important thing that I can impress upon anyone when you think about what you have, why you have it, and what you want to get, is working to get to a good level with what you already have before you start picking up more stuff. I'm rambling on now, so I'm going to go ahead and get off of here, and we'll talk at you guys later. You have a wonderful day.